Welcome to Unifier.tv, where truth knows no fear, has no fear, but either way, no fear. Messed up my own intro. But I am here with the very much respectable, strong candidate, in my opinion, Mr. Diego Martinez. He's actually running for governor of California in 2022. So we have plenty of time to get to know him and make sure we vote the right way. Mr. Martinez, if you'd like to introduce yourself and just kind of tell us a lot about your journey, your path, because I did read on your website that you have been a lifelong Republican. Well, and so what made you want to throw your hat in the ring and say, you know what, I know what's best, it's not getting done, and I can get it done?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show, and please call me Diego. I'm a blue-collar worker just like everybody else here. The only thing that makes me different than anybody else right now is that I'm running for a different job than somebody else. I'm running for the job of governor of California. I'm an immigrant. I came to the United States when I was 6 years old. So in today's words, people call me a dreamer. Well, as a dreamer, or whatever you want to call us, we grew up in the United States, and the only home that we know is the United States of America. Ronald Reagan was president in the 80s, and he did something for my family that I'm very grateful. He helped us get our green cards, made it easier for immigrants at that point to be able to get their green cards, and I'm able to live the American dream because of that. 2008, I decided to become a U.S. citizen. I've been a Republican ever since I became a U.S. citizen, and the reason that is because I've helped businesses grow. I used to be a general manager in auto dealerships. We used to go to dealerships that were failing, and we'd make them profitable. So when you look at California, to me, it's the same thing. It's just a puzzle that we got to put together. It's our economy, our health, our welfare, our water, uniting everything together into a business plan to make it fix the solutions, getting a real solution for the real California problems. We started back in March of 2020 because nobody knows me, your name recognition, you don't have enough money in the bank to be able to run a campaign. We're actually just starting to fundraise right now, which is a little late because the recall fell on our laps. We went and worked recall booth after recall booth, Trump rally after Trump rally, just getting our names out there. So the recall came, and we're like, you know what, the recall's going, let's run on the recall. Let's get our efforts in line, because with the recall, something that a lot of people don't know here, our Secretary of State has changed hands in the last 9 months. Our Attorney General has changed hands in the last 9 months. It's been sooner than that. We'll just call it 9 months just so people kind of get a broad of what's going on, which means they are not elected officials, right, which is a bonus. Gavin Newsom giving us a bonus here. What do we mean by that? What is the number one thing that everybody talked about the last election? Fraud.
Right. Yes.
Integrity.
I don't know how I froze. I guess I was afraid to say it because we're so used to that word being, but no, that's exactly what it is still talked about. Unfortunately, we still haven't gotten to the bottom of that yet, but it's coming.
But everybody says this: voter fraud, voter integrity, voter ID. We need to fix it. We need to fix it. What do candidates say? Get me into office, I can fix it.
Right.
Well, maybe. And what I mean by maybe is your Secretary of State actually controls that.
Right.
Okay, so why would I just say it's so important? If your Secretary of State and your Attorney General are both appointed, what does that really mean?
Right.
They actually work for the governor of California, not the people of California, because they weren't elected.
Right.
So what if you change governors? He has the authority to change your Attorney General and your Secretary of State. So think about this. You want voter fraud fixed? Vote Diego Martinez in the special election, get me into office, because I promise you, I will change the Secretary of State, and I will change the Attorney General within minutes of me signing into office, getting sworn in, because I'm going to fix voter fraud. Let me say that again. I will fix voter fraud because my Attorney General is going to put the law in place where you're going to need voter ID, a passport, your voter ID, which is your driver's license, and prove that you live in that zone or area where you're actually trying to vote. Okay. Now, how do I need help with this? Well, the Secretary of State is going to clean up our voter rolls. They're going to go back, they're going to clean up our voter rolls. At the same time, we're going to stop letting people register to vote at DMV.
Right.
Because when you go to DMV, you say, hey, I'm here for a new driver's license. You're putting in your stuff in the computer, says, would you like to register to vote? Of course, why not? So let me register to vote. I want to do this party, I want to do this. It all matches my driver's license, boom. But nobody ever checks if you're a US citizen, if you can actually vote.
Right.
So now you got a lot of people that probably shouldn't be voting. So we're going to fix all that. And that's just by voting me in. You got 3 out of the top 4 seats in California like that. And
right.
I'm the only person that's running that even discusses it, because somebody told me if anybody else does it, it's career suicide. I said, you know, the good thing is I'm not a politician. I don't have a career in it, and I don't want one. I want to finish the 2021 to 2022 election, get reelected for 2022, because I have in 8-9 months, I've done everything that I've said and I put everything in motion. So we're looking at a better 2022. We got voter integrity. We have voter ID to go vote. So the water problem in the Central Valley will be fixed, because that's one of my number one things that I gotta fix. And we already start construction on the wall to secure our borders. So as long as I do everything that I'm promising that I'm gonna do, there's no reason why I wouldn't get reelected in 2022.
Right.
Well, and that's the way I look at it.
Well, we remember what happened last time. We didn't have a politician. So regardless of what people say, it went very well. So I'm all about people who are wanting to throw their hat in the ring that haven't been in politics, because it seems the longer, not in all cases, but if last year and earlier this year exposed anything, is that a lot of the ones we thought we could trust, we can't, whether they've been compromised or they're being blackmailed, whatever it is. It seems like the longer people have been in politics, the more corrupt they became, or at least compromised in some way. So I'm all for people that we don't know, people with no name, if you will, because then it makes them raw. It makes their emotions and their entire reason for wanting to change things a little more organic, because it is less likely that they have a personal agenda, because I mean, they're a fresh person. They lived it. They're not in these upper offices getting millions of dollars for other people's work. You know, they've been working. And so it's like, you know what? I live in this state. This is my area. This is my neighborhood. These are my friends. This is my background. This is my family history. I know what needs to happen, not these people in these bigger offices. So to me, that makes you more trustworthy. You know, what would be your now, I don't know. I know Texas is taking on a lot of the issues with the border crisis. What would be your plan to handle that?
Well, that's a solid question, and something that people don't understand is that even I'm an immigrant. We came to this country on a visitor's visa. We overstayed our welcome, probably. Our visit was over, right? I also believe that we have to secure the border. So the number one thing is we're going to finish building the border wall. We have to close down our border. I'm going to do an immigration reform program that I'm hoping that California is the flagship for the rest of the United States to adapt down the road.
Right.
But to do that, you have to close our borders, and you can't say, come on in, keep coming, keep coming. No, this isn't about that. This is about closing our borders. The people that are here right now in California, that are working, that aren't paying their fair share of taxes, that are getting a lot of the free services that the California taxpayer is paying for. We're going to take away all the free services, but what we're going to do is exchange it. I don't want to say take away, because you're not taking anything away. We're exchanging it. We're going to exchange that for a 4-year work permit. So people working in the state of California, okay, that means they can't leak out to Nevada. They can't leak out to another place to do this. It's just a California work permit where they can work in the state of California, be legal in the state of California. They can go out the California border and come back in the California border, but not for the rest of the United States at this moment, because I'd have to get permission from those governors and stuff like that. And down the road, I think once they see the flagship program working and how it helps bring in revenue, I'm hoping Texas, Arizona, states like that will hop on board, and maybe we can make it a national program. But again, it's not about inviting more people to come in. It's about giving the people who are here right now an opportunity to prove that they deserve to be here, that they're good, hardworking, honest people that want to contribute to society. So you took away all the free programs. Now you have, instead of having 25% of the people paying taxes, you have 100% of the people in California who are working paying their fair share of taxes. That allows me to be able to reduce the amount of taxes that Californian taxpayers pay across the board, not corporation, not businesses, but the honest, hardworking Californian now will get a tax break because we don't have to tax them so much because we have more people paying less, but the same revenue, if not more revenue, coming into the state.
Right.
So that goes kind of hand in hand with everything that we're about to do. And that's why when you ask what are my stance is 100% close the border, finish building the wall, get the people who are here, give them an opportunity to pay their fair share of taxes and to live without sanctuary cities, without the lies of DACA, because DACA is a false security. And people look at me kind of weird. Well, no, it's not. No, DACA is a false security because do I believe in the DACA program? I think the intentions were right, but there's no end game.
Right.
What's the end of DACA? You're still illegal. You're just paying for a permit to kind of protect you. But if the federal government wanted you tomorrow, they cancel your DACA and they deport you the same day. And there's no stop to it. To me, with my immigration reform program, we're going to put a stop to DACA. We're going to put an end game. And what I mean by that is the people that have been in DACA for 4 or 5 years already, that have never committed a crime, they have shown that they want to be productive members of society. We're going to help them along and help them get a green card. Okay? Now, people who've been in the United States for 20, 30 years and are backlogged, by giving everybody a work permit, releases the backlog from immigration to actually be able to work on the older cases and get those people through the system a lot faster because they don't have to worry about anybody jumping the border and taking care of them right now because we just took care of that problem.
Right. That makes complete sense. And I'm right there with you because, you know, if we're going to pay extra taxes for them being here and they're just going to be handed checks for their entire time here and getting these jobs that are, you know, because at one point, you know, they were discussing raising the minimum wage to a very ridiculous number. So you're going to pay them more than we get for harder work, more qualified. And then, you know, on top of that, you know, to basically hand them checks for their entire stay and they don't have to pay any kind of taxes. It's like we're footing the bill for thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to just sit here. And I don't find it to be fair at all. So I'm all for your plan of, you know, if they want to stay, they're going to have to become a part of society and not just be given a part of society. And there's a process to all this, man. I mean, I do think that there are many acres that we could stand to build more housing on and jobs on. I mean, so there are places for people who want to be here and come here and do the right thing and come here the right way. But of course, you know, it's a process. But I have there's another question I had. I'm just looking at my notes. There were two. Of course, these are definitely not red, but highlighted issues in the media. Second Amendment and pro-life. And I know those are two big stances. And those are two hot topics, especially right now. So, what would be your plan to defend the pro-life stance?
Okay, so we'll start with the pro-life. I'm pro-life, I'm pro-adoption, but I'm pro-law. Okay, so there's a difference there. And I want people to understand this about me. I'm not going to pick and choose what laws I will honor and will not. I will not let my personal opinions get in the way of the law of the state. And when somebody asks, are you pro-life, pro-choice, people get offended. When I say I'm pro-life, I'm pro-adoption, but I will follow the law of the state. Okay? Because they said, well, it's legal to have abortions. I said, so how do we do that? We either change the law or we obey the law. Now, I want people to understand this. Just because the law says that first trimester, I believe it is what the law says that you're allowed an abortion, I'm not for it. But how can I say, stop doing that, but I want you to follow law and order over here?
Right.
That's me picking what I want to do. And I don't believe in that. I believe that we follow law. So if people don't want abortions in the state of California, we'll put it on the ballot and let them vote on it.
Right.
And then we make it law. Okay? But what I'm going to say is this, and I'm going to say fairly simple. If a child's sitting there, the doctor and the mom decide I don't want it, and they think they're gonna, that is murder.
It is.
Okay? Both of those people will be prosecuted as murder. Okay? That's not a law. That is murder. And I will not stand idly by and watch a child get murdered after it's out of the mother's womb because they don't like the sex, because they don't like something. That's flat out murder. The doctor will go to jail, and so will the mom, because that's exactly what they're doing. And if the father knew about it, he can go to jail with them too.
Yeah.
That will not be tolerated in my state at all. Till the laws change, I will follow the law of the state. And so if people want to change the law, put it up, we will put it on the ballot, and we'll let the California people decide.
Right.
But I will follow law and order.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Because, if anything right now that's not respected is actually trying to be done away with in a lot of ways. Not only just by this administration, but definitely heavily by the media, is law and order. It's like, why all of a sudden do we not need this? Because you definitely want to rely on that law and order when it hits your home, when it hits your doorstep, you want law and order. But then when the media says it offends a certain group of people, that's a whole nother topic. Law and order is no good. It's okay. It's hypocritical. So I'm definitely glad that you're strong on that stance too.
So we talked about the Second Amendment, and we're
Right.
talking about law and order. Let me hop to law and order, then we'll hop to the Second Amendment, because they kind of all go hand in hand about what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
I will not defund any police department. It will not happen. If the county or the city wants to do it, I will, whatever they defund of our police department, I will defund their city from federal government money, and I will take that money and I will put it into policing their area. Okay? Our safety and everybody's safety is number one. We will fund the police in better aspects so they can hire the better people. You're not saying that our police officers are bad, so I don't want anybody who's in law enforcement think that I think that you're bad people or they hire the wrong people. This is what I'm saying. We're going to give them the funding that they need so they can pay wages, which will attract people who just graduated from mental health or social services, because we need those people on the police force that are trained in social services, that have mental health experience, but we need police officers.
Right.
So we can hire a young man or young woman who just graduated from mental health, has a degree in psychology. We can hire them into our police department, let them go into the academy, let them be trained as police officers with the degree of being a psychologist. Now you're getting the best of both worlds.
Right.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. So don't anybody say that I think that we hire the wrong people or that we're not going to hire the people that we're hiring right now. But we also need to expand our recruiting to higher education people for what we need right now.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. So please, if you're in law enforcement, don't take that in the wrong way, because I have nothing but full respect for each and every single one of you guys doing your job out there. I know that there's a lot of good police officers out there, and my hat goes out to you. I work with you guys every day, but we need to hire people in psychology that can help. So you have that extra body that's trained to be a police officer that can have your back, but can go to those situations and defuse them and solve two problems at once.
Right.
I also believe in putting more police officers on the ground, boots on the ground, going back to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, where the cops walk the beat. They get to know the grocery store. They get to know the baker. They get to know who lives in that community, so that the people community can feel safe. And we will not tolerate disrespecting our police officers. There will be, you break the law, you're going to jail. We're going to do away with Prop 47, which is minor offenses get cited and released. We're not going to do that. We're going to go back to law and order. We're going to put respect back in law and order.
There you go. I like that. I like that, because it's definitely to be respected. Everything is flipped. So you're going to allow the border to stay open, where you have the cartel coming in. You got these drug runners, traffickers coming in. Fentanyl is out of control. So you're going to allow the dangerous folks to just walk on into our country, but then you're going to defund police. And a lot of police are resigning, or they're quitting, because it's like, if I do anything that's within my my scope of work and it's respectable, the media is going to slaughter me, especially if it's a black person. I wouldn't want to be a cop right now, because everything is heavily scrutinized, and so you're going to take away the law and order. and take away our guns, but they're going to let the cartel run all over the US and do their work. Everything is so backwards right now. They're taking away our entire realm of protection, whether it be our personal protection or being able to pick up that phone and say, hey, 911, something's going on here. And so we definitely need to fight for our own individual rights, because if we don't, just like you said, if it's on the ballot and we don't do our part and vote for it, we've lost and we didn't have to. We got to do our part. It's not about the White House. It's not about the Congress and the Senate. It's about our local elections. And I was just having a conversation with someone about this yesterday. We don't put enough focus on local elections. The people right around the corner from us. That's why I respect Victor Avila. I don't know if you've heard of him or spoke to him before. Highly respectable guy. He was out there working the border, and he was a border patrol agent. Almost lost his life. His partner did lose his life. He was running for office in a local city called Southlake, and he didn't get in because Southlake is a liberal city. I'm like, this guy has a respectable resume. He's still on the front lines out there at the border every day, knowing the risk, went face to face with the risk, almost lost his life, and he still goes out there to do his part. So it's just like, we don't respect the blue and the people out there who actually have genuine hearts. The reasons you and I are even alive is because of people like him, people like you, people like I'm trying to become. And it's not honored. The honor is not there. So we definitely need you.
So we talked about the Second Amendment. California, I mean, you're in Texas. God bless you. Uh, California, we have so many regulations to go buy a gun. Now we have regulations to go buy ammunition. We have a roster list of what guns that you can and can't have in the state. They just came out with a new law that every casing that you put through has to microstamp. The gun has to have a microstamp. Microstamps the casing when the bullet gets ejected, right? But the problem with that is that for every one of those guns that comes on the market, they want to take 3 of the legal guns off the roster. So California is so restricted. I'm actually pro Second Amendment. I actually going to do away with that damn roster list. If the gun shoots, if the gun's available, California people should be able to own it. Okay? We're going to do our background checks. The one thing I'll give California is this: we have a 10-day hold, which really sucks. Trust me, it sucks. I'm waiting for 2 of my guns right now to come out. Okay, I'm waiting for 2. And I got to go 30 days, pick it up. Then I got to wait 30 more days before I can go fill out my paperwork and wait 10 more days before that. All right? So I bought a His and Hers, which is pretty badass.
Right.
Engraved guns from a guy out of Texas. He shipped them over here because we can have them in California. He engraved them for me, did a great job. Okay? I can't pick those up. I'll have the pair before the beginning of July.
Wow.
Okay? So what I do agree with is a background check. I do agree with the 10-day wait. And this is why I agree with it. We want to make sure that the guns go to law-abiding citizens, not a guy who just committed a crime a day ago, 2 days ago, and needs another gun to go commit a crime.
Right.
Right? So I believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe in open carry, which a lot of Californians don't. Mm-hmm. In California, if you have a carry conceal permit, which some of us do, we believe that you have to go and qualify per gun that's on your carry concealed. And each county has the right to tell you how many you can have on your permit. To me, if you have a carry concealed, you should be able to carry any of the guns that are registered under your name.
Right.
So what I also believe is that if we change the laws in California, open up the Second Amendment, open carry, but if you bought a gun, you qualify to buy a gun, you went through the background checks, you should be able to open carry. It's your right. And that's working with every sheriff on the whole 58 counties and getting their ideas and their vote in to make sure that we're doing the best thing for public safety, because it goes back to public safety. I know Arizona went to it, and I talked to the sheriff at the time that was running Arizona. He said, my biggest thing is this. For the first 6 weeks, we were getting stupid phone calls. Hey, there's a guy at Walmart with a gun out. He said, after 6 weeks, everybody got used to it and it kind of mellowed out. But he also said that our crime dropped. So when you look at statistics like that, you're like, hey, open carry doesn't sound bad. But I also want to make sure that the right people have the guns in their hands. That's my take on that. And I'm pro Second Amendment. I mean, you
I
know,
mean, there have been plenty of stories where you had civilians, just like you're saying, civilians have stepped in and saved the day. And if they hadn't been carrying, could have gone a totally different direction. I think it was it in Texas where it happened at a church where the guy was carrying and he took the guy out. And so if it wasn't for him, a lot of people would have lost their lives, a lot more than I think a couple people did die, and that's unfortunate, but it could have been a lot worse. So for me, I'm definitely a fan of open carry. Like you said, go through the background check. You've already been screened. Um, and if you're eligible to carry in the first place, why not let it be open? What happened to if you can make a citizen's arrest? And people don't even know you can do this because it's not even a thing that they promote. I guess they don't recommend it, but you can make a citizen's arrest. I'm not sure what the rules are on that, but if you can make a citizen's arrest, why not open carry? Because most people, how many stories have you heard about someone carrying openly and a gun misfires and hurt someone, or someone that had an open carry permit just went crazy and lashed out and started taking folks out? No, you normally hear that from someone. Maybe they got the gun legally, maybe they didn't open carry, but they took it to a place and started shooting, or they got the gun on the black market and did something crazy. It typically falls within a certain realm of a storyline, and it typically doesn't fall on someone who had an open carry permit that had it on their hip and decided to just snap and go crazy. So I don't believe in taking away a law-abiding citizen's rights to carry. I don't see how that helps, and because it definitely doesn't harm anything to be able to have it on your hip. I don't know.
I laugh when I hear this gun control. Okay, this is why. Somebody bought a gun illegally on the black market, went and did this massive shooting. But you want to punish the law-abiding citizen who went and bought their gun the right way. Why wouldn't we go back and find out where they purchased the gun, where the gun
Right.
came from, who sold it to them, and actually stop the black market of gun sales? Wouldn't that make more sense
That's
than
what
going
I've been
after the
saying. Yeah.
law-abiding citizen?
Right.
Stop wasting your effort on law-abiding citizens and start wasting your efforts and start putting the efforts on the illegal guns that keep coming over the borders all the time, that keep getting sold to the kids down the street, behind the alleys. That's where we need to concentrate. When we talk about gun control, there's where we got to start controlling the gun. Now, if all those guns are off the street and nobody's selling illegal guns, and now you tell me that a law-abiding citizen pulled the trigger and did a mass shooting, then we need to look at that. But the
Right.
reality is those guns aren't bought legally. They're bought illegal on some corner. Somebody stole them. Somebody did something, but it's not you or me who went to the gun store, did our 10-day wait here in California. Can't wait to get
Just
our
to
gun
be
out.
able to.
Come on.
Right.
Let's that real.
You've heard of the red pill, sure, but what about the green pill? CBD oil continues to drain billions of dollars a year from big pharma and the corrupt medical establishment as patients go back to nature for their quality of life for chronic issues. We have the purest.
Right. And that's what I've been saying too. Biden keeps pushing gun control, gun control, gun control. We got to get these guns, and we got to change the laws. We got to change this. I'm like, okay, well, I've been saying it for about a year, even before they made this much of a push, which is a lot of propaganda. But before they went this far with this push, I've been saying it. There's still a black market, and how they pretend they don't know about it is outrageous. They know there's a black market, and they know 9 times out of 10 that's where they get them from. They know they've confiscated many weapons with serial numbers scratched off. They know how it works. Obama is not from Chicago, but he spent a good number of his life in Chicago, so he knows what the streets of Chicago are like. And what is he doing for that city? Not a thing. All the murders that have been going on in the city that he built his career in, and he's not doing anything about it. And we want to put the focus on Trump. Oh, it's because of Trump, Trump, Trump. Everything is Trump. Everything is Trump's fault. It's like that is the biggest elementary school thing I've ever seen in my life. Blame him. Blame the one we don't like. Let's just point fingers. This and people are falling for it. I got into a long argument with someone yesterday because every time there was a shooting by a white officer, it didn't matter how dead to rights the person was. She didn't want to accept it. Oh no, it's because of the officer. I'm like, really? The dude was wrestling officers to the ground. The dude that molested the girl. The dude that did this and that. They should have found a different way. I'm like, okay, what if it was you? What if you were put in that position and your life had to be saved? And a friend of yours, not even a cop, a friend of yours did what they had to do. Would it be different? No, we're talking about cops here. Also, cops are different. So it's not about saving lives. It's because it's a white cop that did the shooting. And this is the problem we have in America. We're not teaching kids about the 3 R's. We're not teaching kids about stranger danger. We're not teaching kids about how to prevent forest fires. Remember back in the day, you had Smokey the Bear and the DARE program. We're not even doing that. They're even getting rid of Dr. Seuss. Those fundamental things that made the difference in how you and I came up are gone now. But then they're bringing in Blue's Clues and these other cartoons that are teaching about self-pleasure and gay pride parades. So the sanctity of the family is almost out the window. So if we can get these kids at the root, like they're trying to do, they wouldn't be out here in these streets doing what they're doing. We're seeing stories every day about young people killing other young people, but they want to focus on adults losing gun rights. It's like the focus is not in the right place. So I definitely respect your stance and your passion behind it, because when you talk about it, I see the energy coming off of you. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not talking about it. I'm going to do this. And so we need passion like that. Not a soothsayer. We don't need another soothsayer in office like we had about 4 years ago. Not talking about our last one, I'm talking about 4 years before that. So we don't need that. So I definitely respect your passion, because it's definitely a raw passion.
You know, we have, it's funny because everybody says you have no name recognition, you have no experience in being a politic, or you're a Donald Trump lover and that's why you're doing this. And I laugh. First of all, the people who have experience being politics got us in the mess we're in. Right. Wasn't a business owner. The people you keep electing, that's what California's where it's at. I don't care what you got to say. Because if you can prove me different, do it, but you can't, because they're career politicians, they're very well known, they have all this money, and they have all these special interests in their hand, right? So that's why California's in the mess. And when somebody said, well, Donald Trump, I look at you and I tell you flat out, Donald Trump has nothing to do with California. The California governor who governs California, who has screwed California. Gavin Newsom has failed the state of California, the state of California taxpayers, and everybody in between. And now he wants to have a picture of picking up garbage. I said this last night at another interview I was in. The only garbage he should have picked up, he should have jumped in the damn bag himself and have somebody dump his ass in the dumpster, because that's the biggest garbage that we have in the state of California today. And I will say that to his face, because I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know, California, if you guys want to do something different, it's time to stand up and get the right person in office. Forget about the money, forget about the name recognition. Sometimes it's somebody without a name, without $1 million to come in here and do the right thing. Because that's what I'm about. I want to do my recall year, and I want to do my 4 years, and I'm out. I want to leave the state in a better position than what I found it. I want my predecessor to come back and improve it more, and the person who takes after him come back, or her come back and make it better. This isn't about race. You know what makes race so hard is that we use it as a punchline. Black lives, Mexicans, Hispanics, Asians, get that out of our category, and race doesn't matter anymore. Okay, I look at you as a human being. I look at myself as a human being. I'm a Californian, you're a Texan. That's it.
Right.
Color doesn't play in. And when people say there's racism in the state of California or in the United States, I'm going to say something to you. If we're so racist, how the heck did Barack Obama was the president of the United States for 8 years? 8
years. 8 years flat.
If you can tell me how that happened, but we're racist.
Right. Well, then you got what Susan Rice was a part of. The you know, she made a lot of decisions within. She was under Obama's administration, right? Susan Rice, and she's a part of Biden's administration. Biden has more foreign names in his cabinet than American names, but we're in a racist country. Trump did more for the black market when it comes to housing, when it comes to, they said, the job market, the housing market, homeowner, all these different things. And it wasn't just for the black community, no, but it's overshadowed, and they keep saying he's racist. It's like we refuse to see what's right in front of us, but then we want to deny, the obvious things. It's kind of like it's all propaganda. And the most disgusting people in the world to me are the ones who allow their fears to be fueled by media, but won't allow their facts to be fueled when these truths come out. They don't want to see that part. They want to see the BS part. And I can't respect someone like that.
It's tough, because when Black Lives Matter first came out, I'm like, you know what? There's an organization standing up for the black community. I think it's a great thing if they do what they want. I lost respect for them the minute they started looting, destroying stuff, calling racial discrimination and calling other races bad.
Right.
It's like what you're fighting against is what you're promoting. So I saw a Hispanic kid the other day holding a Black Lives Matter sign. I looked at him, I said, "Can I ask you something?" Very nicely. He said, "Yeah." I said, "What's your sign say?" He said, "Black Lives Matter." I said, "Do you believe in that?" He said, 100%. So can I ask you something else? Yeah. So your life doesn't matter because you're Hispanic. Shouldn't that say racial justice for everybody? Shouldn't that say peace on all nations instead of one focus? Because to me, every life matters. And I know some people say that's a coy thing to say, but to me, again, if I don't look at your skin color, if I don't look at your sex, I just think you as a person. Your life matters as much as my life matters, as much as my kids' lives matter. And that's why I'm about law and order. And that's why I think that we need to respect the police and put law and order back in the state of California, because a lot of people are getting away with crimes and nobody's convicting. I don't care what color you are. You commit a crime, we're going to convict you. It's not about anything. And you talked about Chicago for a minute, right? I lived in Missouri for a little bit. So you go to East Missouri and you got black on black crime all the time. Where's Black Lives Matters there? Where are pro athletes who are taking a knee saying that racial discrimination? Why aren't they in the inner cities so these kids can look up to them and say, "Look, I come from where you came. I put my head down. I didn't go gangbang. I didn't go sell drugs. I got out of the hood, and so can you."
Right.
And before anybody criticizes me on that, I grew up in Stockton, and yes, I grew up in the barrio. I grew up in the hood. I know what all that's about. I know what gangbanging is about. But I also know that if you go to school, you put your head down, you stay straight, you can get out of there and you can do a better life.
Yes. And I'm right there with you. I was just talking to someone about that yesterday. These athletes and these actors and actresses and these musicians, all the ones that keep saying, oppression, and, teaching kids to disrespect authority, they're doing a huge disservice. They're not using their platform for the right reason. And they're just fueling this propaganda. And to me, they're out of line, because these athletes, you can easily pull up photos them with their white teammates, white team owners, white friends, and they had no problem then. But now that the media is saying white is bad, you just switching your entire stance and energy as if you were never photoed last year hugged up with white teammates. And there's nothing wrong with white teammates. I'm just saying that now all of a sudden you're pretending like you were oppressed this entire time. I couldn't tell. The ones who complain the most about oppression are the ones who have the most money. I'm not seeing these people write checks to donate to fill the potholes and get rid of graffiti and build up these projects in the neighborhoods they grew up in. I'm not seeing that happen, not often enough. There's probably, maybe I can count on one hand, the people in the NBA that haven't been pushing this propaganda and who actually have been doing things for their own communities. But the ones that have done it, they make sure they broadcast it. It's all about their name. And so the kids keep falling for it because that's their favorite person. Their word is law. And that's the card they're playing. And it's such a disgusting thing to poison the minds of these kids, to disrespect authority, to say no to testing in school, to make sure you're smart enough to move on. Even that's racist all of a sudden. It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing to these kids? I can't stand for it.
Most of these kids, you're looking up to the drug dealer across the street, the guy with the nice car, always with the bling, always with the cash, right? But I think it's almost harder to be a drug dealer than it is to be an NBA player.
Yeah.
Because your lifespan is so much less because of what you're doing, right? I think that we need to educate our younger kids in our inner cities and let them know there's a better way of life than that. This isn't life. And I take my hat off to Shaquille O'Neal, which I didn't really like him as a basketball player because, you saw, if you ever saw Shaquille, he's huge, right?
Right.
And the man could play ball. I knew him and Kobe had their beef, whatever, right? So when I looked at basketball, that wasn't one of my like, oh my God, Shaq's on TV, I gotta watch, right?
Right.
But I'll give him this. I saw a video of him on Facebook. Cop comes to a predominant black neighborhood. There were like 10, 11 young black kids playing basketball. Cop gets out, white cop goes, starts playing ball with him for a minute, right? He says, I'll be back. Comes back with a fleet of police officers. And there's a Tahoe in the middle. And you're like, man, is this guy coming to arrest them? You know what I'm saying? Right. Somebody called and complained, and that's what it was. Somebody had actually called and complained that these kids were playing on the street.
Wow.
So you're looking at this, you're like, man, is this guy going to arrest them? Out of the SUV in the middle, Shaquille O'Neal comes out.
Oh, I was right. He's an officer. Was this in Miami where he's an officer, or was it somewhere? Is it in LA?
No, he was just dressed normal. Yeah, I think it was downtown LA. I don't know where the video was shot. This cop knew Shaquille O'Neal, went and got him. Shaquille O'Neal started playing ball with these kids. At the end of the game, he gave him $100 to shoot a free throw. And then he told them, stay in school, get educated, and respect your parents.
Wow.
That took my whole image of NBA Shaquille O'Neal to the person who he was. And I'm like, man, that's what I'm talking about. That's a stand-up guy who just went out there and did something that you don't see every day. And he didn't have TV cameras. He didn't have any of that. And I was like, man, kids can really respect a guy like that.
Right.
Why aren't more people doing that?
Yeah, I do like that. And that's what we don't see. We don't see the bridging of the gap, the race, so-called race gap. I don't think we're at odds the way the media says at all. They're creating a lot of this dissension. But if there is a gap, these people aren't doing enough to bridge the gap. Instead, they're saying buy black owned. Buy black owned. You know, people are uploading videos of themselves disrespecting officers when they're pulled over for simple traffic stops. Now they're creating problems that wouldn't have been there. So I'm glad you did that. We need strong opposition from a big name, not some person in Hollywood they've already ousted and said they were crazy because they were trying to tell the truth. We need someone who's willing to separate themselves from the crowd and say, no, this is like Ice Cube and a couple of the people that decided to do that. And that was big for him. I mean, they didn't like it, but what are they going to do? You know, he spoke the truth.
What was it, 50 cents said it too?
Yes.
And
And
administration, I'm going to be 20 cents?
yeah. Right. You know, it's the thing. That became a thing because I think Lil Wayne came out and a couple of the guys' names I don't even know. I don't know who they are. I don't listen to that. But you know, it became a thing, and you know, so I think maybe a couple people were piggybacking off of it because it kind of kept their name out there. People maybe you haven't heard of in a while, they decided to try to piggyback. But the ones who were genuine actually did interviews saying why they said what they said. They didn't just throw their hat and say, "Oh, Trump," just to create some immediate hype. Ice Cube went into detail why, and I'm like, you know what? He knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about, and I don't know. We need more. We need a whole lot more, and it doesn't take just celebrities. You're doing your part. You know, I'm trying to do my part. You know, but as far as who these kids are taking their word for law, we need someone to separate from the herd and say, you know what? I can't do it, guys. This is not right. Kids, respect authority. You know, observe and report. Stay away from strangers. Keep your heads up and out of your phones and look around. And that's a movement I'm trying to start called the Look Up campaign, where they're actually strict. We got people in place. I don't have this, but this is what I'm envisioning. The Look Up campaign, where you have people in place, different states. It's a big movement where you know, maybe local police, whatever, people like you, people like Victor Avila are holding seminars, teaching children how to keep their heads out of their phones when they're getting off the bus, when they're getting on the bus, when they're going to the mall, when they're in their own neighborhood. Observe what's going on around you. Keep your heads out of your phones while you're outside and look around. Same thing with parents. How to observe trafficking, how to observe potential pedophiles in the neighborhood. We need a campaign called Look Up. And I think that will be monumental. There are things out there like that, but we need a name for it. We need a movement. We need t-shirts. We need broadcasting. Because kids need to be dragged another direction here because the media is doing a horrible job at scrambling these kids' brains. So we need strong opposition.
Well, remember Barbara Bush used to do say no to drugs?
Yes.
You know, that was a big movement, and that's kind of like what you're talking about right now. Because right now, what people don't understand in the United States, human trafficking is huge. It is from kids that get picked up, right there on the street because they're doing exactly what you're saying. Their heads are down, they're playing on their video game, they don't see around them, they don't understand their surroundings. There's also kids coming out from the border that are used for human trafficking. So we have to educate our young kids to keep their eyes open, not talk to strangers, but we also have to take a tougher stand on anybody who's caught human trafficking.
I'm right there with you. 1,000% with you. But we're definitely going to keep in touch because I'm trying to do some heavy work here in Texas and spread some positivity. And you're definitely already doing it out there in California. So if I can match your intensity out here, we'd be a strong force. But last quick question, right? Quick question. I've heard a lot of comments and, on social media and people I've spoken to who live in California. They said a lot of California is turning red now. Is that the case, or does it seem to be going? I don't think any state is going to be full anything. You might have a few stragglers. Not even Texas is all red, but is California phasing towards the red now?
I think you see a lot more conservative people coming out and speaking up. I think the past elections and what's been going on and just this last year in California, I think people are speaking up. People say you're red, you're blue, you're this or that. I think it's just hardworking Californians that are both sides of the parties, because you hear me say this all the time. Both parties have failed the California people and the United States people. And I can explain that in a million different ways, but because of COVID-19, it has shown the real color of our politicians, so they have failed us. And I think it's just both sides are saying we're fed up. So when people say, oh, we see a lot more red, no, you hear a lot more people standing up. They usually wouldn't. I call the John F. K. Democratic Party of the 60s the new Republican Party. Well, some of those people didn't leave that party. They are conservative. They believe in everything that the Republican Party do, but they've been lifelong Democrats who are now saying, whoa, what is going on here? This isn't our party. What happened?
Right.
Now they're awakened and they're like expressing themselves. So you can call it a purple. I'd like to see California go purple, where there's enough both parties, where there's representation for both parties, where people can actually know what a bill is and are in tune with what's going on. So I think that's more what's going on, more than saying California's going red. I think we have a lot more people voicing their opinions, and that's why our governor said that the recall was a Republican. Well, it wasn't, because if it was just a Republican, let's just put this. 4 million people voted for John Cox to get elected in California. And those were Republicans, whatever, right? If it was a Republican move, we would have had you out of office the first month that we tried.
Right.
Because you at least got 4 million. And all we needed was 1.4 million.
Right.
Right? We could have gotten half of the people that voted for John Cox last time just to come out and sign the damn petition. You're done.
Right.
It was a grassroots effort, and it was a bipartisan, because I believe that they said 40 or 45% of the people who actually signed were Democrats or independents, compared to what we had in Republican signatures. This is a California movement. It's a grassroots movement. And that's why I say I think we're more purple than red, or going red. I think people are just standing next to their real core people, who they really are. And they're seeing that God is important, work is important, our families are important, and law and order is important. And they're sick and tired of where the state has gone. And because we have lost so much revenue, because we have focused on saying that we're giving $125 million to illegals, which unfortunately that put a target on Hispanics, because everybody forgets that there's 58 countries dumping in their illegal people here. But when you say illegal immigrants, everybody automatically thinks Hispanics. And so our governor put a target on our race because of that. And it's time that we stand up and say enough's enough. We need to take our state back for the California taxpayer and the California people. And my one and only special interest group, and I have one.
Right.
is a California taxpayer and a California person, not Apple, not Microsoft, not Facebook, not something else. The California people, because we need to bring jobs back to the state of California. We need to deregulate California. We need to educate our kids to the highest level, not be number 48 out of 50 states. We need to be in the top 10. And that's what I'm guaranteeing you: jobs, opportunity. And I'm not giving anything away for free. Free is over. The only people that will receive anything free is our veterans who have fought for this country, who have sacrificed their lives, who have sacrificed their lives. And guess what? That's not even free, because you just heard the price that they're paying for their services. We will work with the VA, and if the VA can't do it, we will work with local hospitals to be able to get them the help that they need, and we get it right away, not 3 or 4 or 5 months away, because they didn't ask us to wait to go to war, and we should not ever ask them to wait or have to beg for anything that they have earned, everything that they are entitled to, and it's time that they get what they're entitled to.
There you go. I like it. I can't. Do you have commercials out yet? Because
we have a commercial coming. It's actually a pretty slick one, I think. We don't have an angry bear. We don't have anything. We're not talking bad about anything. Our commercial is very simple. So a 30-second commercial shows 15 seconds on why the recall is happening. And then it's going to show you another 15 seconds on why they should check Diego Martinez for governor.
Okay. Well, if you send it to me, I can run it. I can run it on this video, and attach it to the post, or maybe in the middle or right after. I'll probably slap it right in the middle of the video. That'd be awesome.
It's an induction right now. Once we get it finished, we're hoping to have it finished in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because of the editing and putting it all, making sure that we got the copyrights, where we've actually called the people who did the recall to get their permission to do it. Mike Neller was really straight with me. He's like, "You don't need my permission, but I appreciate you doing it, because it keeps the recall back in the surface of it." So we had to go through a little red tape, get through all that, and now we're in the production stages, and hopefully, like I said, in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see it everywhere. We're going to blast it all over all the social media, because we're going to be proud of what we put out.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll share it as soon as I see it. Pop up on your page, Facebook, Instagram. Actually, if before we close, if you wanted to let people know where to find you, let people know if they can how to contribute, anything you'd like to let people know about, feel free.
I appreciate it. So everybody who's out there, like what I have to say, can stand behind me, want to invest in the future of California, go to DiegoMartinezForGovernor.com. On the bottom of my webpage is a donate button. Hit the donate button. Every little bit helps. I've been self-funding this since 2020. I'm not as fortunate as some of the other candidates, but we've been able to stay in the race. I need everybody's help so we can cut this commercial that we are just talking about. It's not just about cutting, it's about being able to place it in the right media's hands so that it can get out there and you guys can hear the message. I'm on Facebook, Diego Martinez for Governor. This is funny. It says 2020 because they wouldn't let us put 2022. And it says unofficial because we weren't registered with the state yet. And then when we did, they wouldn't let us yank it out. So it's Diego Martinez for Governor 2020, unofficial, which now we use it as a punchline because we are official, but we'll call it like the fake news.
So, I did see that. I did see that because I wouldn't follow you. It did say 2020. I was like, okay, maybe he's been like building this for a while. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm on all other social media, Diego Martinez for Governor. You can look me up on Instagram, Twitter, Parler, every social media, every Thursday.
You have mail.
Waking Up California, and we talk about politics. We have people from Australia, everywhere join in. So every Thursday morning, 9 a.m., you can join in. And if you have a comment, you want to go on the live feed, you want to talk about anything, go either on my Facebook or my Instagram account. And I invite everybody in. I don't care.
So you said every morning at 9. You broadcast live on Facebook and Instagram?
Both at the same time.
Okay.
And it's California time, so that's 11 o'clock your time in Texas. And we invite everybody. And then I do one in Spanish. So if anybody speaks Spanish here or their parents speak Spanish and they want to join us at 8:30, it's in Spanish. And I have people joining us on that too. We let everybody. This is a bipartisan. I want everybody to understand this. Both parties have failed us. It's time that the California taxpayer, California people take California back. Forget about your party lines. Let's vote the right person into office. Diego Martinez, candidate for governor of California. I thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Great seeing you. We'll definitely keep in touch.
I appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.
No problem.